In this video we're going to be covering a wide range of topics such as littermates, color fields, more drag and drop, copy and paste, entering photos, watermarks, logos, marks, search commands and text reports. So we'll start off with littermates. Once you have entered a littermate, it's very easy to then add additional littermates. Just use the edit command, duplicate record, and there we can see all the details are being changed. So you can then go in and change the bits that need to be changed. So in this case you would say no, and you would probably change the registration, whatever that may be, and possibly color. So that's entering littermates. Color fields. So you can create any number of color fields. To alter a table, we use the tools command alter table. And we can see here mark 1 has been set to the type color. So, well, the format color, you need to set the type to long and the format to color. You don't need to remember that funny symbol and color, just select it from the drop down list. So mark 1. So in actual fact we don't need to alter the table, but if you needed to add a color field, it's quite easy to add fields. I can, for example, if I want to add a new field here, I can just click there, go insert field, type in the name, and change the type to long and color, as I said before. But given that we don't need to do that, we're going to exit without saving changes. Now let's have a look at our color field here, which is mark 1. Okay, so right click on that field and select a color. And there we go. So it's a little bit like marks, where you can select a record and mark it. You've got a range of colors here. Having selected, you've got a primary and secondary marks, so you can change the primary mark color, change that to chocolate, and the secondary to green. And then whichever records you have selected, you click on the mark button and it'll mark them in that color. And a record can have multiple marks, it can have up to 16. So I'll select some different records here and just mark it with the secondary. So the difference between these regular marks is they can be inadvertently deleted. If you click on mark and clear all colors, they're all gone. But the color fields remain, and they can be displayed in pedigrees as well, which can be useful. So more drag and drop. So we touched on drag and drop. Let's just say that I'm entering a new entry to add that as a record. So I've got a record here, and when I'm entering these fields, just click on the field, and as soon as you start typing, it appears here in the text box, and you get the matching options in the drop box, and you just hit enter. So every time you hit enter, it moves on to the next field. So I'll just go third 2020. Now with size and dams, I can type part of the name of the sire and then just hit the up down keyboard button to move through the list and until I find the one that I want, or I can float over it with the mouse and use the scroll wheel to very quickly scroll through and select one and then hit enter. Now what I have selected there is a dam going in the sire field, and Pedigree Publisher has picked that up and it's warned me about that, so I'm going to say no. So it's quite easy to enter sires and dams from the drop down list, but another way is to, if you've already got a sire and a dam there, you can just click on it, drag it along and drop it. And here we've got another one. We're going to drop that one there. I'll just delete that. So what I also need to demonstrate is if you've clicked and then you've started dragging and you didn't mean to drag, just hit the escape key and it stopped. And this actually works in Windows as well. The escape key is generally used to cancel a drag and drop. So another way, of course, is copy and paste. So I can click on this, Control C, Control V. I can clear that. And there is also a feature called multi-paste. So if you have a very large number of records with the same value, okay, let's just say there's a particular breeder. So it tries to link any name in the owner or breeder field to the contacts table. And here it's picked up that there is no record in the contacts table. So it's offered to create one, so we'll say yes. And if I right click on that, I can view the lookups. So that means the table that is linked to, and there it is. So this is the contacts table. The three main tables are listed at the top. All the others are listed below this line here in alphabetical order. You'll notice some of these tables with underscores. They're more lookup tables than anything else. Contacts is a lookup table, but it has its own purposes, same with shows. So now in the contacts table I can put other details, and that can appear on the forms if you've set it up that way. Anyway, so by clicking on this button here we can go back to pedigrees. So let's go back here. So I was demonstrating multi-paste, so that's quite simple. So we copy that, select a whole bunch, hold down Shift and Control and then hit the V key. So that's useful if you have a lot of duplicate fields. Anyway, I'll just clear that. Now entering a photo. So if we look at a record and go to the pedigree, there is space on most pedigrees for a photo. And the way to set that is to go to the photo field. I'll just scroll along here. Okay, there it is. Right, so right click on the photo field and insert photo. I'll just double click on that and we can see what it's inserted here is actually just the name. So this is a relative path. Okay, so now when we display this entry on the pedigree, so just click on the button, it'll return to the last pedigree form and the photo appears. And it will appear on any of the pedigree forms that have photos set up. So that is setting photos, and just again right click and insert photo. So all it's storing here is the name of the photo, and the reason we can do that is that the photos are stored in a subfolder of where the database is stored. So you can see the path to the database file at the top here. You can also see it down here where it gives you the database path and also the form path. So next we'll look at a related topic, which is watermarks. Now the watermarks are fixed in the form. So if you select a watermark, it'll appear regardless of what entry you are displaying. To set the watermark, first display the form and click on Add Watermark and select an image. Generally for a watermark it'll be quite a washed out image with high luminance. So I'll just pick this one and there it appears. Now if I go to any other form, they won't have it. So you're setting the watermark on a per form basis. And if you do change form files or you upgrade, then you will lose that. Now related to watermarks, we also have logos. So you can put your own logo on most of these forms. And the way you do that is from the database view. When you set the logo will appear on all forms that have been designed to display a logo. And even if you replace the form file, select different forms, you will continue to see that logo. So that's part of your installation. So anyway, so we'll click on Tools, View, Set Forms, Logo, and so we'll pick a suitable logo. So we'll change it to this one, Kembler Kennels. It's one that I use for demonstrations. So now when we go back to that form, there it appears, and on the other forms that are set up to display logos. Okay, combining marks. Now I briefly showed how you can mark by selecting one or more records and then clicking on either the primary or the secondary. And you've got a choice of 16 different colors for marking purposes. So having selected the primary as blue, I'm going to click on that and all of these are now marked in blue. I'll select some other ones here and mark those in the secondary color. Each record can display up to 16 different marks. So if I'll pick these ones here, change the primary mark and set that, we'll get that happening. So I'll just go back to dark blue and I'll demonstrate another feature, which is if you and the primary and the secondary, then only records which were marked in both the primary and the secondary color will be left. So this is useful when you're trying to mark records that are both something and something else. So for example, you could mark, well, I'll just clear all the colors first. Let's scroll down to demonstrate here. What I can do is select a particular entry and click Mark Ancestors. So now all those ancestors are marked, and then I can click another entry and change the primary color. I'll change that one to secondary and do a similar thing and mark all the ancestors. So if I was to then use mark primary and secondary, then the only records that would be marked would be ones that are common ancestors of these two records. So that's the kind of thing you can use with these combination mark commands. Now there's a whole range of mark commands here, and they're reasonably obvious. For example, I can select an entry here and select descendants, so I can select all first generation descendants, etc., or the entire male line, female line. I can mark siblings, duplicates in a selected field. So for example, if I wanted to find any duplicate registration, what I would do actually is sort ascending. And by the way, you can sort on any field, you can sort ascending or descending on anything. And if you're looking for duplicate registration numbers, this can be quite handy by sorting on the registration. And then we can go mark duplicates in a selected field. And there we go. So it's marked those, and yes, all those records have the same registration number. Okay, search commands. So under search, we've got a whole range of search commands. So when we're finding a key, we're finding the key record that something is linked to. Now, sire and dam, these are linked to the name field. So if I want to find the record for Bluebell Peter, I would click on Find Entry, which is the same as Find Key. And there we go, Bluebell Peter. Find Similar is useful if you're looking for names that are similar to other names. Find Next and Previous is just finding the next occurrence of a particular search string. Find Next Mark, Find Previous Mark. So if I'm here and I click Find Next Mark, it's going to get the next mark record. So a useful one is Find Replace. And so what we can do there is put in the search string that we're looking for and what we want to replace it with, what fields to restrict the search to, so only the current column, which would be that one. Or let's say I want to just restrict the search to sire and dam, so I'll select those. The other options are select the current cells, so that would be useful if I wanted to. There I am, accidentally dragging. So if I want to select a range of cells, I click on one cell, hold the Shift key down, and then click in the bottom right-hand corner. So it fields to search current column, or all columns, or the currently selected cells, which would be just the ones you see there. Now matching. So I can put in, for example, Nell, and that is going to match that one because it's any part of the cell. But if I selected the whole cell, it would only match if the cell only contained Nell. You also have the option of whole words. So, for example, NEL would not match Dorcas Nell because it's got two L's in that word. A word is just a sequence of letters separated by spaces or at the beginning or end. So that's what the whole cell option is about. Then we have regular expressions, which is more complicated, and I'll have to refer you to the user manual. We can also restrict the search to marked records, and when we do that we're talking about the primary marked color, which in this case is that golden color. And we can also force it to match the case. So if you haven't ticked that, it's case insensitive. So nel would also match lowercase n, capital E, capital L, or just all lowercase NEL. Okay, now something else we didn't cover before is, so we have our standard forms here, and by the way we can see the some of the marks that we put in. Now I mentioned earlier that we were marking all the ancestors of one entry, so what you can do is display the pedigree for another entry and then see the common ancestors in that pedigree form. By the way, we can zoom in and out of that, and we'll click that button there. That shows us the zoom factor. Okay, so these are standard forms, but we also have text reports. So under reports, you can, for example, have a 10G text pedigree. And so this is quite easy to copy and paste into emails. If you're looking at, well, this will be covered in another video, but if you want to modify what is actually displayed here, you can click Edit Report. And so what it's doing, this pedigree command is what's generating that pedigree, and it uses this expression here. And that expression is the pre-title, name, post-title, registration. So you can put any field name you like here, as long as it's wrapped in square brackets. So again, quite easy to change what you see here. So there's a range of text reports. But one in particular that's quite unusual is the 10G HTML pedigree. So with this you can actually select how many generations you want to display. We'll leave it at 5. And that is the result of doing that HTML pedigree. And if you're unfamiliar with all these angle brackets, this is what HTML looks like. But if you want to see what it looks like in the browser, click the View in Browser button, and there we go. So this is in a Chrome browser, and that's showing what that would look like. So that completes this demonstration.